evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Own Service Live with me, Marky Mark, and BFG, and our very special guest,
YouTube star.
Yeah, international
Blazing.
famous crime thrillers.
Yeah, things have changed a bit since I last came around these parts.
Good evening, Harley, and welcome to the show.
You didn't mop it up though, did you?
What?
You didn't mop it up last time you came round these parts?
No, I've been taught how to use a mop this time.
Well, we've only brought you back to apologise.
God, you're now making me think, what do I need to apologise for?
What day is it?
That would have caught me off guard on a live stream, would it, Mark?
You still haven't. Honestly, it was unintentional, and I never meant to do anything. And I thought, Mr. B turned around and said that you were coming on show, and he says you best prepare because Harley's coming in. I know what you're like with your facts and figures, so I thought I'll get me facts and figures all there. No.
Yeah, but I weren't prepared, were I?
No.
Just turned up, expected a casual stream, and then Mark's like, well, look at what I prepared earlier.
I didn't mean to upset you. Honestly.
By the way, this stream is in good time because they've just released their annual figures, haven't they? Centrica.
Yeah, they have. But
So
we'll
I'm
not go
talking
into
about
that.
In case you've got your fact sheet with you. Oh.
Hey, I've got to admit though, that was a good show.
It was a good show, and I'm no doubt gonna. Last time on that show, I told you to watch something, and I'm going to refer back to that today. Actually, I've decided the only thing that I have decided about this show is I must mention that program at least once.
What program's that?
Yeah, I'll catch you out with it. Don't you worry.
You're going to catch me out of it because I've got a brain like a sieve.
I haven't got a brain. So, there's a very good reason we've got Harley on. This week's special topic, which we will go into following, saying hello to all the good people in chat, for there is many of them.
But before you do that, we would just like to say hello to our sponsors, which is Project Vapes and Johnny's Juice. This week is the new Raspberry Sherbet. It's that new that we haven't even tried it yet.
Nope. So, if you're after a bottle, tough, it's too late. The post has closed.
Yes, the posts have closed.
However, if you keep an eye on the YouTube group during the week, around a Wednesday morning, you will see that the posts are open. So you can have a chance next week. Right. Let us wait. My God, I'm even on live chat. So this is scary. I can tell I've got posh people in. Don't give me that look, Harley. Right, so we have, strangely enough, the special guest sat below me. BCV, good evening, Stevie. Hope things are well, mate. Bill Richards, darling. Walls. We have Kaz.
Hello.
Craig Bolt, good evening, sir. Welcome. Dawn W. Hello. Yeah. Yes, looking forward to tomorrow. The Lord of Lewdness. Jesus Christ. See, I got that.
You be careful when you do fee.
The Lord of Lewdness, the God of the gutter. Sin is in. Good evening, sir. Faxi, safe. Good evening, darling. Puggles. Jane Dowd, milady.
Puggles.
Oh, Puggles. John Vaping Joker, good evening. Dude. Kevin Smith, thank you so much for sending that article. Kev got in touch with me on Facebook, and there was this little deaf lass who got basically a sight dog, but it helps her around the house. And she calls it BFG, Big Friendly Gordon. I was chuckling at that. Thank you, Kev. Mark H, EVL. Good evening, sir. I raised my elbow in salute. I didn't think neck elbow was still a thing, but apparently so.
There you go.
Dude, I hope you're well. Martin Saunders, good evening, sir. Again, thank you for the comment on the Facebook page. We too enjoyed discussing whether reality is real or not, or whether it's a programmed event. This is it. Expectation has a lot to answer for. Nightbot is in. Good. Norse Vapor, good evening, sir. Dude. Paul Doling, good evening, sir. Paul Schofield, dude, been a while. Buggles. Some geezer called SoulOhm, he's everywhere. Vaping Snowman, dude,
Snowman!
How you doing? And the Vixen of Vavavoom, Vaping Bunny. And I believe somebody slipped in the back door. Herb Williams, good evening, sir. Hope you're well. And Billy Lee.
Buggles!
Thank you so much for the pictures, Billy. Appreciated that.
Yeah, the race them pictures, weren't there?
That's a nice little setup, isn't it?
I tell you one thing, Johnny's juice, blooming quick.
That's what she said. Don't shake your head, Harley.
Holly was thinking the other way around with the name, wasn't he? We know.
And I believe that's everybody on the participants list.
Want to give a big shout out to Betty. Big love and all goes kidder. And big love to Jules as well.
I hope you have a fantastic weekend, dude.
Yeah, it's this weekend because it's the bike race and all, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I can't go.
By all accounts, it's not just a race though. There's all sorts of different events going off. Like ballet with the bikes and all that kind of stuff. Football as well. There's break dancing with him and all sorts.
Yeah, doubling hotel prices. I should hope so.
CC Coils, fist bump.
Dude. And I spotted Bill's just coming as well.
Yeah, Bill Rich is in, fist bump, buddy.
Dude. We got Herb, didn't we? We did. I'm sure we did.
If we didn't, Herb. I think that's about. I think you've got everyone.
I think that's about it. Right. There's a very good reason we got Harley in. He is our master of the mysterious. Oh, yes. Yes, he is.
I can't believe how quiet he is.
I know, I'm scared.
I am not used to this, Harley. You've been so quiet.
I was getting ready with all my facts to take you unbeknown. My words eluded me then. I really didn't know which word to put in that place.
So before we get into topics and things, how's your week been, kiddo? What have you been up to? Oh, interesting.
Well, I've read loads and loads and loads of sources about someone being murdered. I filmed it, edited it, then started reading loads and loads of sources about someone else being murdered. Filmed it, I edited it. That's pretty much how weeks go. I live a very uplifting life. No, it's been an alright week. Today's been absolutely awful. It's just been one of them days where everything was wrong. But it's been an alright week, I suppose. Can't complain. There's many worse.
So how's the channel going then?
It's going alright. We've currently got 14,919, which is super.
It's awesome.
Well, I keep saying it every time I mention it, that it was supposed to be 1,000 within a year. And I'd have been quite happy with 1,000 within a year. And it's been 14 months and I'm sat here with nearly 15,000. It's just not supposed to happen. The strange thing is, though, is there's two reactions. There's, oh, wow, that's amazing. Well done. Oh, I love your content. Oh. And then there's the other people that go, yeah, but it's a popular topic. And I go, oh, yeah. because every true crime channel just automatically becomes a big channel and works.
Yeah. Oh
It's
no,
not-
I mean I think
It's a lot of effort.
it's you. A lot of it is you. It's yes.
If I didn't have a Yorkshire accent, it'd work much better.
No, I disagree. I think actually the Yorkshire accent works better for you.
Well, I think it works for me, but there's a lot of people that complain about it, and I always just sit and smile, thinking, yeah, but one would not like to talk like this all the time. You know, them channels as well. Chills does it. I love Chills' channel. He's great at putting paranormal stuff together, but he talks like this, and he went through the door, and I think, no, I can't bring myself to talk. And a lot of channels do it, and there seems to be like 3 or 4 different ways to talk for your channel to explode. I'm like, no, I'm not selling out. I'm not changing my views for anyone. I'm not changing my voice for anyone. Not even I do change my voice because I talk a bit slower and I try to pronounce a little bit more. And a lot of people have commented on my grammar. I say were instead of was and was instead of were. So I do try and improve in that way, but it's not really changing. I'm still keeping the Yorkshire accent. I'm still...
See, there's
I use my
13,000
telephone.
there's 13,500 nutters in West Yorkshire all going cracking instructions.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, it is you. That is who you are. I mean, why change how you talk?
Exactly.
I think a big part of the channel is a lot of true crimers, most true crimers, go for cases that have already been done, the big famous ones. And I thought, well, what's the point in that? Because I don't want to watch a true crime channel documentary I've already done, that I've already seen, sorry. So I decided I weren't going to do that. And then I've realised why they all do that. And it's pure laziness. If someone else has wrote about it, you copy their transcript, find a few more facts, rewrite it, done. Now, what I have to do is spend 3 days I'll spend a full day looking for a case, then I'll spend 2 more days getting every bit of information I can. Then you have to just determine what's real and what's not. Yep. And then you go, I've only wrote 2 pages, scrap that, start again. So that's why they all do it.
I would say I watch some, these ghost ones. Amy's Crypt, Slap Tam and things like that. And they, in that genre, they do repeat themselves a lot. Especially the investigation side of it. That one at Pontefract, the most haunted house in
the Monk.
Yeah, that has been done that many times, and they're not bringing anything new or anything more interesting than the last videos.
Now this is why Chills is so good, because alright, he only publishes like once a month or something, and he has got an annoying voice, but it's stuff you hadn't seen before, and it's so much worthwhile getting less videos but more content you haven't seen. But Slap Tam puts videos out that is already put out.
Yeah.
It means well just go back through all the clips he's already published, jumble them back up and put them back out. And not slagging Slap Tam off, I love his channel and it's very well produced. But he does put clips on that he showed 2 weeks ago. And you think, don't put alt out if you ain't got alt. You know what I mean? It's like me going, right, this week I'm covering that case I did 2 weeks ago. Again.
But when you think about it, I mean, people like Slap Tam, they're not really creating the video, are they? All they're doing is collaborating from different places, from Instagram, from Facebook, from social media in general, and finding the clips and then just putting them together. That's all he's actually doing.
And it's it as well as when you get to that side as well, they don't even have to find the clips because they've got that many people sending them in.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I were in Slap Tam's position, my entire software would be pretty much automated. I just have to type in the thumbnails. I'd have other people doing it for me. She did it, Bailey Searan, whatever her name is. She does makeup as well as tell true crime cases. And again, I love her channel. A lot of people think she's disrespectful because she does makeup at the same time. And I don't. I think it's just... I can see why people think that, but I don't think it's disrespectful. But she's got 2 other channels now. One, someone else writes and edits. She just talks it. And then another one that's similar fashion to that. So if you were Slap Tam and you'd got 2 million subscribers or whatever he's got, you're earning that much money, and he puts like 2 videos out a week. that instantly get millions of views. He's on that much money. You'd kind of go, oh,
doesn't
someone
care.
else do this. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, the reason we have Harley on, as I said, the master of mystery, is, we don't know if you spotted it, because this was so underreported at the time. It went under the radar, and then all of a sudden some of the papers picked it up. 3 military veterans testified in US Congress, and what they basically did was started talking about UFOs. Are they among us? They accused the government of a decades-long conspiracy to hide the truth. Now, we've been there, we've seen the X-Files, Ancient Aliens. Oh yes, everything, aliens. This was actually
Can I just put you? I know there is aliens.
As that,
Because how many times you gone into the kitchen and you can't remember what you went in there for?
that's middle age.
No, that's the silence.
No, that's middle age. Trust me. That and the fact you're a bloke, because if your missus walks in, she spots it straight off.
I know there's aliens that came out my missus.
Yeah, I have had 2 of them and all. So one of the 3 was a former Air Force intelligence officer. The other were, I believe, pilots and also members of the Air Force. The topic of little green men did come up. Much of the discussion centered on improving processes for reporting unidentified aerial phenomena. I wish they'd just called it UFO. The military's term for UFOs, and UAP takes into account that a lot of these encounters are underwater as well as in the air, whereas UFO just refers to the flying object. So this is the thing. It was also asked for the stigma for aviators who report UAPs to be removed. Safety was a large part of the discussion before Congress. And it was David Grush, who was the intelligence officer. He went from being part of the Pentagon's UAP task force to becoming a whistleblower. And basically the way it kicked off, he was telling the House Oversight Committee, and this is one of the first big public discussions about this, that he'd been denied access to some of the government's UFO programs, and that he knew the exact locations of UAPs in US possession. I must say now, no evidence was produced about that. And when he was questioned under oath, his retaliation was it was classified.
But by all accounts, there's been reports of reverse engineering.
Indeed, but that's been the case. That's been amongst.
That was part of the Congress thing that went off in the US.
Well, allegedly, CD players is part of that. Allegedly, but Harley's probably got more info on that. I don't know, but I'm very dubious about on that one.
I know.
You know.
I know, Newt. I've just come here for the socialisation.
It's part of his therapy program. So, Harley, let's kick it off.
All right.
Think
we're
it's
gonna have
most of the time?
with that documentary I mentioned, aren't we? Mark, can you remember when we were on the huddle with Mr. B and I mentioned Adam Curtis? Adam Curtis, he did a BBC documentary. Believe it or not, it was BBC. I have actually watched something that would be BBC produced. Incredible. It's called Hypernormalization. Now, this entire documentary was about 3 hours long. It goes on about... The entire point of hypernormalization is when the Soviet Union fell, inflation was sky high. Everything was screwed. Pretty much like it is in the UK, strangely. But the thing is, everyone knew that everything was fucked up beyond recognition. But it was that fucked up beyond recognition that everyone carried on as if it were normal. Yep. And that's where the term hypernormalization comes from. Now, this documentary that's called Hypernormalization goes on through different chapters of things. Like I say, it's like a 3-hour-long documentary. Now, to try and find out exactly what he said in this documentary, because it was about 2 years ago I watched it, I looked it up. And the hypernormalization is on Wikipedia. And it is written, obviously, by Adam Curtis. Not the Wikipedia article. But here's a bit on UFOs. It's under the chapter of The Truth is Out There. The chapter begins with a montage of unidentified flying objects, sightings recorded by members of the public in the United States. It's argued that the phenomenon surrounding UFOs in the 1990s was born out of a counterintelligence operation designed to make public believe that secret airborne high-tech weapon systems tested by US military during the Cold War were actual alien invasions. Now, I'm fairly sure you two have heard that part before. We've all heard the part of UFOs are actually RAF or whoever else testing aircraft. The top secret memos forged by the US Air Force Office of Special Investigations were allegedly leaked to ufologists who spread the manufactured conspiracy theory of a government cover-up to the wider public. The method called perception management aimed to distract people from the complexities of the real world. American politics, blah, 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 blah. Now, that really caught my attention because if you don't know, guys, that's watching this, Harley here is a conspiracist. Conspiracist. See, I'm not a conspiracist. There's a very big difference between what people think conspiracists are and what I am. I don't believe in any conspiracy theory. I don't believe in what the BBC tell me. And that's the thing. I'm a critical thinker and I'm very skeptical of everything I hear. Be it some sort of virus, be it some sort of UFO, be it some sort of global warming, be it anything. And that doesn't mean them things I've just said I don't believe in. It means when I hear it, I don't believe it at all until I've read up on it and make my own opinion. So when you say UFOs, my brain goes, right. It does make sense that the government would want to peddle these sightings and these theories to distract you from whatever else is going on. The bad day news type articles. Things like they did the other month when USA, you can Google it, USA have just allowed lab-grown cloned meat to be grown and sold. Yep. That went in the news because it was on a bad news day. They covered it up by putting something else more absurd on the news. So when you go, right, and then it goes into more of a blue beam stuff. Now, blue beam is a conspiracy theory that's been long running and transformed within time. But we started talking about blue beam in 2019, I mean 2018, in which the governments of the world, it was Bill Gates, by the way, his name props up in a lot of conspiracy stuff, real world stuff that lead to conspiracies. But Bill Gates in 2020, I think it was, started saying we need to prepare for an alien invasion. And then the US government in 2019 started their first ever US Space Air Force, what the fuck ever that's supposed to be. And then when you look at all these things in a conspiracical or critical thinking mindset, you go, why now? Why all this stuff now? And then you push it. And I was talking to my missus, because she's a lot more... These days I block all this sort of stuff out. I don't think about it, I don't care about it, I know it's all bollocks. My missus does pay attention to it. So she's been reading on the conspiracies of Blue Beam. And the conspiracy world seems to think that what's going to happen next is an alien invasion. Apart from the alien invasion will be governments that are firing down onto Earth. And the same old thing that's always happened, be it you believe in 9/11, be it you believe in a pandemic, the end goal is always the government takes more control of people. Be it the fact that it's a conspiracy or it's just a coincidence and it is for your protection, that is fact. The government always gets more control out of a catastrophe. So the conspiracy world, I'm not saying I do, the conspiracy world thinks that that's what's going to happen. They're going to keep peddling this. And if you look at it now, it's very strange to watch because you've got the US airspace thing set up. Then all of a sudden, all these paranormal channels, be it on TV and on YouTube, and are slowly peddling UFOs more and more and less ghosts, making it a bit more normal and a bit more acceptable for you to understand. Then you've got balloons hovering over America. We deemed it weren't a UFO, but we were told for a good few days it were. So when it does happen, it'll be a bit more normal to us. You know what I mean? When you look at it in that mindset of David Icke, I know mentioning his name makes me sound like a lunatic, but David Icke always says the way that he sees things and estimates what's going to happen is he looks at what the end result's going to be, and that's stealing control of people by the fear and protecting them. Look at the end goal, and then step backwards, and there you'll see the path we're heading. Now, when you look at it like that they're going to pretend there's alien invasions to get you scared so you'll sign away more rights, that's when you go, yeah, but that were done then, and that were done then. It's a massive bunch of conspiracies. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they are going to fake an alien invasion, but at the very least, it's to keep you distracted and keep you scared. Just like nuclear war. The media is still pressing that Russia's going to start a nuclear war, despite the fact that Russia and China have just signed a deal that neither of them will let a nuclear war unfold. But our media is still going, oh, they might do it. No, they wouldn't sign that deal if they were going to start it. You know what I mean?
No.
But the
I
security
mean, let's
aspect-
face it, we already know that that's a no-win situation anyway, irrespective. But it's so like, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You was on about there, it's a bit like COVID. And I think COVID was also like a test run because it did control us. We were all in lockdown. We didn't go out. We didn't do things. And it's surprising how easy it is to control the masses.
I think. I'll keep quiet on that one.
Why?
Back to the.
Come on, BFG. Speak your
No,
mind.
say!
Back to the hearing. The security aspect was played up. So that was the reason that Congress were so keen on this chat anyway, because a lot of them wanted to know about following the Chinese balloon or the alleged Chinese balloon. They wanted to know how many of these things could pose a potential security threat. Now, I personally think it's a mix of the both. I think there's people out there who are paranoid about China. I think Trump sowed the seeds on that one, and they're still growing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, America's not got an enemy at the minute. Everybody hates Putin, but, you know.
No, not everybody. No. Not everybody hates Putin. No.
Well, the ones that Putin's giving a swift backhander to don't. No.
I mean, places like India and
we're
places
gonna
like that,
very dark
they're
alleyway.
not so bad. China's not so bad.
No, China's not.
Korea.
Wonderful devices. But
The way I explained to my missus, that's got the new conspiracy mind, is they're all bad. Every government, ours, America, they're all corrupt, they're all bad. That includes Russia and China. The problem is, which bits of the truth? Because if we're going down the war route, our governments, including America, have constantly started wars. And they've constantly been the aggressor. And if you look, for example, only last year when the Russian missile hit Poland, and this is something Tommy Robinson, I said this on the huddle, Tommy Robinson did a interview with Gareth Icke. And Tommy Robinson said, look, I am not what they portray me to be. And he told his story of them purposely smearing him, them purposely making him out to be something else. And he said, all I'm actually doing is going against the narrative. He says, I'm not an anti-Islamist, I'm not this, I'm not that. That was all about me seeing a statistic and following it. And I'm not saying that I support Tommy Robinson or anything like that. I'm just talking about his interview. Hi, Mark. I think he said Hanky. Oh, well. And it's all about pushing. I've lost it. Mark distracted me with not saying hello to me.
Tommy Robinson, the interview, the smear campaign.
Right. Well, while he's thinking, getting back to this, sort of like we're talking aliens here. With this coming out now with aliens, I mean, we grew up from being little saying that there's been aliens spotted here, and it always seems to be always in America.
I would argue that point.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's only in America. I says it is largely in America.
Largely, yeah.
Have you two seen anything in the last 10 years?
What about aliens? Yes.
Not in the news, not on the internet, in the skies or on the ground. Have you seen anything that you've gone, that's a bit unexplained?
Nope.
Yes.
Have you seen anything ever, BFG?
Yes, when I was a kid.
So what have you seen of recent, Mark?
Recent, I saw 2 flashing lights in the sky outside my window. And there was, how could you explain it?
That's a drone.
Pardon?
One red and one green. That's a drone.
No, they want red and green. Now, we've got an airport that is now shut now, but so I know about aircraft and that. I've grown up with it. So, yeah, it were unusual. If it was a shooting star, could have been, I don't know.
See,
I wouldn't say it wasn't a spaceship. Definitely no, it wasn't a spaceship. So the only thing that I can think of, it was either, a shooting star, something like that.
See, we're massive on skies, and on a the only night I do drink is on a Friday, and that's my missus likes to drink, so I'm social with her. And we had some friends round, and they brought the camera round, so I could show them how to take long exposure pictures. So you could get sky, and if they're shooting stars, you'll capture them and stuff like that. And while we're outside on a Friday night anyway, we've got one of them, it's not an umbrella, it hangs. You know what I mean? It's an umbrella that hangs rather than...
Yeah.
So during the day that'll be up, and at night time we'll take it down, and we'll both just sit there, look up at the stars, and watch. Pardon me. Now my missus calls them floaters. The satellites.
Yeah.
Be it Spacelink or anything else. And there's one night, because we watch them constantly, and it is a game of, seen one, fair look. And we go. The strange thing is, as we go in orbit, you can watch them across the sky, and they'll be really bright, and then they'll get fainter, and they'll get really bright. But the thing that made me ask you the question is because I don't know if it were during end of 2020, I think it was 2021. We definitely were in lockdown. I'm sure it was last year. When they came around with the cameras, I was showing them how to use it. And then definitely 3 out of 4 of us saw it. They're a really bright light. And I think at minute there's Jupiter in sky, Saturn.
Yeah.
There's a planet in sky at minute that's really bright. And it has been all year. And it were about where that is during summer. And it was stupidly bright, almost like a plane facing you. Like, wow. Then all of a sudden, it kept letting off these little balls of light. It were always in this dot were here, and the balls of light kept coming towards you, if you like. It could have been going up or whatever. It was like coming towards you. But these balls of light was, I'd say as big as, but as bright as, if you know what I mean, the actual original thing. So obviously, if this is like a mothership, the little things coming out of it are going to be a lot dimmer, a lot smaller. But no, these balls were as big as, sometimes they were bigger. And they'd come out of it, they'd travel for what I'd perceive to be an inch, obviously a lot more at that distance. But as eye level, it were about an inch, and then it'd fade out. But it'd go really bright and then fade out. Just a bit like them fireworks you get that only go about 3 meters tall.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Just like them, just coming off. And we must have watched it for about 5 minutes, and then we went, oh shit, camera. And then it coincidentally stopped. But ever since then, we always look up at night at that area going, I don't know what that is, but next time it comes, I'm going to catch it on camera. Because if you had that long exposure, it would have just been a bar that long of really white light. And these are pure white. These aren't like got yellow tint or anything. They're pure white and really bright. That I have absolutely no explanation for. And like I said, I am skeptical of everything. So unless I have an explanation, my answer is I don't know what it were. Which I think it might have been this. Go on, Steve.
I was going to say the cynic in me says that was a meteor coming down. What you were seeing was stuff melting off the surface and then burning up.
I would say that's a good option, but these things coming off always came out at the same trajectory at the same side. Every time. Every single time. It was so bizarre to watch. And like I said, the things coming out of it was as bright as the other. So it was obviously something emitting something. But that's undisputable. So be it a meteorite falling up or whatever. But like I said, they all came out at the same trajectory, at the same side, and went for about an inch. Eye level. But that's the other thing. The other thing is when you watch these YouTube shows about the paranormal, there's all these floaters. And like I said, we sit and watch them, and some nights they are like as bright as a brightest star. And then they disappear. And then they come back. And then they disappear. And then they come back. And if anyone ever is watching stuff like that, there is apps. Obviously, you've got flight radar for your planes. Not every plane's on that. They have to have the thingy box on for it to come through.
I've got the International Space Station. I watch its orbits. I have it on my phone.
Well, there's an app that I downloaded, and it had every orbiting satellite that's known on its app. The only problem where it's not like flight radar, where you can go, what's that above me? You have to look through. And do you know, forgetting Starlink, that's currently got mind-blowing amounts up there, the other satellites, excluding Starlink, there's hundreds.
There's thousands.
Because if we aren't knowing, you'd kind of go, well, there's ISS. But there is, like Mark said, thousands. And
also, there's quite a lot of them that burn up the old satellites. Because let's face it, most of them satellites now are still low, what the class as low orbit as satellites.
Mm.
Now, obviously, they come redundant because they start losing, obviously, their orbit. So it's things like that burn up in the sky. And you see things like that. Now, they could be the weird things that you see as well.
But, I mean, this is the thing. This is what always makes me laugh. Right. We've got, if, and I am open-minded on this, but if aliens are real, you're talking a species that have developed faster than light travel. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they're going to turn up to what is the universal version of black hole, surrounded by multiple pieces of shit within orbit. And it's a junkyard out there.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah? So you've got to get, alien invasion, hundreds of vehicles, even if it's 10, 20. You've got to get these big buggers through all the crap, into the atmosphere. What are they going to do? Why do they want Earth? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, it's doubtful they want to hump anything. So that leaves eating. Yeah? Now, strangely enough, according to the media, they don't eat human beings. No, they know about cows, and cows taste good. No, come on, give it a rest. You know what I mean?
There was a conspiracy about cows, wasn't there?
Yeah, cattle mutilation.
Yeah, cow mutilations.
Now, a lot of that's being shown. Some of it's being shown that when the cow dies, you do get the gas build-up because of the full stomachs, etc. And that can cause straight splitting of skin, etc. I'm not saying that's right, but it's a more likely option than E.T.'s evil twin brother coming down with the galactic version of a Swiss Army knife and slashing a couple of cows. Yeah.
See, the thing is, though, I mean, you think about it logically. Probably the first ever radio broadcast that we ever produced on this planet is only just reaching the next solar system.
Just at the edge of the solar system.
Yeah. So, if you, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that they can understand us or anything like that, but the amount of noise that we are putting out at the present moment, or we have been doing for the last, 100 years or so, it's sort of like we are a very noisy planet.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we must be let's face it, we can't imagine, and there's no way you can physically put it in your mind's eye how big the universe is. You just, the distances people start talking, you cannot imagine. They are so vast.
Well, it's at least a few meters, isn't it?
At least.
A few are.
Yeah. So it's so like the chances of there being another civilization that's at least the same as us or more advanced technologically wise to actually use spaceships to come and see us.
See, the thing is, I watched some other day, and it was Tyson DeGrasse, and I love Tyson DeGrasse. I like the way that he's utilised his ability to talk to public, to educate people, and he does his delivery and his education really well. And he was answering a question the other day about aliens, and he said this long-winded answer, but then he said, "So yeah, there probably is somewhere." Billions and billions and billions of light years away, some creatures looking out towards us going, I wonder if there's out there in regards to life. But, like you said, the few things that you've said there, first of all, if someone were travelling towards us, it'd have to be going at an exceptional speed of physical matter for it not to appear on NASA's radar or anyone else's. And even if we thought it were an asteroid or something. And of course, we wouldn't hear about it straight away anyway if it were that. So you could say it's a cover-up, yada yada. But to say that a spaceship just all of a sudden appears in our orbit, and it has to be made of matter. It has to be. And you can say, well, it's anti-radar. Yeah, but we're not looking with radar, they're looking with telescopes. They're taking pictures. But it's got to be seen. You know what I mean? And if we have got antimatter, then we're sorted because Stephen Hawking said that is the key to time travel. So all we need to do is find out how to do it, and we're sorted.
Well, they've already done antimatter at the Hadron Collider.
Yeah, the antimatter weren't the right word. I think the word I'm looking out for is the same word. The word it begins with a D. A bit like D matter type thing.
Oh, dark matter.
Negative energy.
Yeah, dark matter.
Antimatter.
Yeah, I guess I told you the same thing. But so that's the only explanation I can think of. But when you're looking at that side of things, I can't remember the other things I was going to say, so I'm just going to spill all and again try and arise in the top, broaden the topic as I do. The thing is, when you're looking at things like that, the only possible explanation in my head to where you can go is a different dimension. Now, that on its own, the idea, the concept of a different dimension is on its own mind-blowing. And if you watch the videos that explain that, I watched one other day and it's basically going, right, this is a car. No, you're a box. And it said, it's just a box, it's a line. They can't beat, there's nothing else to it. But then bring up another dimension. So what would the next dimension be? And I think if science ever answers what the next dimension could be, that's when you...
Well, I mean, you're going into the realms of multiverses and things like that, aren't you?
Yeah, but that's the only thing in my head that could make aliens around our planet be a viable thing.
Now, multidimensional, that's one thing I have taken an interest in.
This is a very multidimensional conversation.
It is. And it's very interesting because there is a theory that looks into this, yeah? And three-dimensional beings can see one-dimensional objects and two-dimensional objects. You can never see more than your own dimension. So in order for something to be extra-dimensional, you're talking fourth or fifth dimension, which we currently measure as depth and time, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not depth and time. Time and what's the fifth one? Time's the fourth dimension. I can't remember what the fifth dimension is, but that's our measurement of it. You know, and once you start getting beyond the third dimension, Jesus Christ.
I watched a film, donkeys years ago. You're on about multiverses. And it was, I can't remember what the film was called, but basically all this alien thing going off wasn't aliens. It was us from another dimension. And the problem with their dimension, their universe, the problem with their universe was that the human race was dying out. And the plan was to take people from our dimension back to their dimension. But doing it while they were asleep, so when they woke up, they wouldn't notice, they just think something weird's happened instead of being actually snatched.
Well, that explains where the probing came from.
I do just want to say, by the way, that I do rely on science a lot. And the thing that gets really wound me up during the pandemic was rely on the science, trust the science. And it's an interesting concept, that, especially in a conversation like this, and especially in a pandemic, that nobody trusts the science, not even scientists. Nothing's ever proven correct. It's always proven true until proven false. And then it's adapted a bit, and then it's, again, true until proven false. Accurate until proven false. And it's formulas. And so when you're talking about another dimension, it could just as easily be it's not a different dimension. We've got something wrong in that equation. One of the little numbers somewhere is wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to go back to science, I mean, a lot of science is just theory.
Well, it is all theory.
There's not all of it's theory, not all of it. I mean, knowing about gravity, knowing about all that kind of things, we know that is a
gravity. It is still a theory.
Yeah, but
It's
going
just
back to
not
things
support.
like the Big Bang, going to how the moon was created, how the dinosaurs died out, all that lot is portrayed as fact, but actually it's not. It's a theory. And there is a big difference between a theory and a fact. But the problem is, the media, even society, we push a theory as fact. Take your kids, for argument's sake. They'll grow up learning about dinosaurs. And that's what a dinosaur looked like. And this. Do you know something? None of them know what a dinosaur looks like. It's all guesswork.
Oh, exactly. That's my entire point. But while you said that, I've got a very interesting point that Neil Tyson deGrasse taught me this week. What is the boiling point? What temperature is boiling point?
Depends where you are.
And what it is.
Exactly. I always, all my life, were taught that boiling point is 100 degrees. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees. Always. Then I watched this video with Neil Tyson deGrasse that saved my life of a day by explaining to me that actually that's a boiling point of water at sea level. Ground zero, that's a boiling point. If you go up a mountain, there's less pressure, so it'll be a lot less. But in schools, we taught that as an absolute fact.
Yeah.
And that's because in schools we're taught to pass an exam, by the way. We're not taught information. We're taught to memorise information to pass an exam. But that just proves what you've said. We're always taught something to its nearest. There isn't an actual exact point in that. But going back to what I was saying, even the theory of gravity isn't fact. Scientific facts are things that haven't been disproven yet. So if tomorrow some boy genius, Stephen Hawking's Mark II, I didn't mean that to sound how it sounded. I really didn't mean it like that. I promise.
I've got visions of some geezer in a tricked out electric wheelchair with his spoiler up back, like, yeah, baby.
Well, if Stephen Hawking's next gen comes along, still no better, and proves that actually this is more accurate and proves that theory wrong, then it'll be the theory of gravity Mark II, in which it's adapted slightly, so then it's still not proven incorrect.
But look at Galileo. At the time of Galileo, what he was stating was considered so wild they killed him for it.
I know.
Now,
and he was a small boy and nobody loved him.
Indeed. But as we've gone on and people have proven it, it's become scientific fact. Who's to say in another couple of hundred, if we haven't killed each other off or toasted each other, then...
Now you've got a point there. Big point there. If we don't kill a sense. Now you've got to look at it the other way. An alien coming here, it's not like we're going to welcome him with open arms, is it? We come across like we will do, but no, we'll have already chopped you up, had a look at your innards and nicked your bloody car.
They'll be met with hostility and then dissected, without doubt. But there's
making us sound like universal version of fucking Deliverance.
We are, though! Oh, come on, as a human race, if it looks a little bit different than what we're used to, we kill it.
I also want to put out as well, by the way, But there is an elite in this world called the banking mafia. Not a conspiracy elite. They are the fucking elite. They have the most money. They know the most people. They've got the politicians and brands. That is.
Oh, you're talking about the 0.0.0.1%
Yeah.
that has all the money.
Yeah, and a little bit more, less than that. I mean, more people. But as I watched someone the other day that were on about global warming and said, if global warming, the woman asked him, what you've probably seen this video, she said, what are you doing to protect our children from children's future about global warming? And he did a long-winded explanation about that, but we're not talking about that. But one thing he said, which is relevant to this conversation, is, do you think if the bankers thought there was any chance of global warming on a scale that they're saying that it is, global catastrophe, do you think the banks would still be issuing you a 50-year mortgage? Because no banker in the right mind would say, yeah, you can pay us over after Armageddon. It just wouldn't happen. And these people are putting money into it. They have the research, they have the knowledge, and that's where you look. When they go, right, Armageddon's here because aliens are here, that's when you look at the bankers and go, can I have a mortgage? Yeah. Right, we're okay then. There's no Armageddon.
I like your theory.
What's happened in this country in the last 6 months?
I don't watch news, so I don't know.
The mortgage options have disappeared up their own arse.
Oh, fuck, we're doomed.
That's why I'm chuckling.
Talking about mortgages and things like that, I was talking to Jan about it, and over the last, 20 years, somewhere around there, we've had virtually 0% interest rates. Been very, very low, aren't they? But we remember back in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
When it went to what was it? Nearly, 18%? And everyone were losing their houses?
Do you know the strange thing is? I studied minor economics. We called it economics, but it is minor in school. And one of the things that I took away from that, well, one of the things I took away from that was that when they want you to spend, they put interest down because then it's cheap. You borrow more. When they want you to stop spending, they put inflation up. Interest rates up because then you put it in your savings account. And this is how they've always done it. Now, the other week they said they were putting interest rates up. And my brain just went, why do you want people to stop spending when the economy's fucked? You are not trying to slow it down because it needs speeding up. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
But we're getting off topic, and there was one other thing that I meant to lead us on to, seeing as we were seeming to get stuck. We've pretty much, between us, decided that although these videos seem to have merit, we're not quite convinced that UFOs have actually got into our orbit without being detected. So the next thing that brings me on is, what the fuck are these sightings? Now, before we started the stream, I honestly haven't done any research for this video because I have been too busy. I'm actually about 2 videos behind where I'd like to be, so I have been putting all into that. But I did have 10 minutes before I joined your chat. And during that time, I was looking at 7D holograms. Because my missus showed me one other day of a whale going under a bridge, coming out, splashing down, it splashed out. And you're like, wow, but it's actually a waterfall that's about this deep, so it weren't a real whale. Now, apparently that's fake. There was the exact same hologram in a school gym. That was faked as well. It was a media company trying to get publicity. And there's a few others, all of which were either branded as fake or I couldn't confirm whether it were real or not. And I've always believed, and I still do, that you need a medium to project a hologram onto, be it a piece of glass. You need something to catch the light to project it. Now, obviously, there is theories that you can project laser beams at laser beams and therefore make a hologram that way. But let's face it, if you're up in space, you've only got one angle to come from, so that's going to be quite hard to do unless you line the entire ground. So holograms, as far as the public are aware, are out of it. But could they have that technology? If not, what are these sightings? Because there is lots and lots of sightings, alleged sightings.
Now, the interesting bit is, during the talks with Congress, when they asked him about radar, It was the one bit of evidence that nobody had. They didn't have any recordings of the radar traffic at the time of the sighting, which I find a little strange given that the whole planet's basically bathed in bloody stuff.
Well, let's face it, it is extremely lucky that these aliens got all this way and went, oh, we can avoid detection via radar.
But this is it.
Or did they go back home and reshape things to avoid it?
And not just that, but there's the biological thing to take into account as well. This planet is crawling with bacteria.
Yeah, that's just us.
Well, this is it. The bacteria, to anything that's not from this planet, is probably lethal.
No one would believe in the last years of this 19th century. Human
It's a
affairs
valid
to be
point.
watched by the timeless worlds of space.
Well, I mean, that is factual. You're born with your mom's immune system. You then develop it. So without that, and with the antibodies not working, like, for example, when you're going through chemo or something, you're screwed. I sneeze at the side of you and you need to go back to hospital quickly. You know, so it is an extreme point that if you've never had this killer bacteria, unless you're completely immune to it, like SMAR, for example, most pets are immune to the flu and blah, blah, blah. And I won't get whoop and cough from a dog. I mean, that can work. But the chances of an alien coming, again, but something I was going to mention earlier, which is very relevant now, is, and it's same when it comes to the dimensions and the colour spectrums that we can't see. We can only imagine and we can only create, pardon me, from what we've seen. Even the most creative, imaginative person in the world can't create more than they've already seen. The shapes, for example, shapes, you go, well, bring any other shapes than that. Well, there might be. You know what I mean? And again, it goes into the dimensions and stuff, but we can only create from what we know, from what we've seen. To create something that has never got any aspect of anything on this planet,
Chico,
but from another planet with another evolution, different microorganisms, different bacteria, that would be possible, theoretically. And let's not forget
before we do the actual giveaway, I'm going to ask a simple question. Do you think a lot of this is, how can you put it, human hysteria?
Oh, God,
we want to believe.
Dude, go back to the ancient Greeks. There was a bloody thunderstorm and all of a sudden Zeus was having a paddy.
That's what I'm saying. Are we at that stage? Religion, it comes in many forms in this world now. And it's sort of like alien conspiracies, general conspiracies. Do you think that's our modern day religion?
We just don't trust any bugger.
With good right, by the way. If you look back through history, we've earned our right not to trust anybody.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, the internet's done a lot. Because previously it would have taken weeks for people to find information. And prior to information coming out, people would have imagined a solution. And then when the information lands, oh, that's not right. That's not what I imagined, so therefore you don't believe it. But the internet is there in seconds.
Oh, yeah, in full colour and HD and everything.
The only people that are affected by that are the politicians and the people trying to tell you one story. And other people are able to show proof of something else.
That is what I was going on about Russia for earlier. I did mention that the missile that hit Poland, and Tommy Robinson, blah, blah, pointed out that actually that missile didn't hit Poland. And the only way we know is because of the internet. And everyone in Poland went, what missile? What are you on about? And it's same at the minute with the temperature in Europe being stupidly high. The BBC has actually been reporting two different temperatures, one 10 degree higher on its new broadcast than its actual forecast. And again, it's the internet that's backpedaling things. Now, the big problem with this is it's also disadvantageous, to the conspiracies. Because there is conspiracists, but aren't critical thinkers and just believe what we read or
Yep.
watch. So, and as Winston Churchill said, before the internet, the truth hadn't even got its pants on before a lie's gone around the entire world.
Oh, God, yeah.
So with the internet, that's peddled a lot more. And all you have to do is flick through YouTube. The reason my videos don't do as well as others, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, is because I'm not clickbaiting. I'm not sharing speculation. I go, these are the facts that I could find. And if there's anything that I couldn't verify at bottom that I think might be true, I say that after. And say, this, I don't know if it's true or not, take it and do it what you will. But the internet pushes, oh, this happened. Like when Nicola Bulley disappeared. There were somebody that had put a thumbnail of a body floating in water and made it look like she'd been found when she hadn't. Before she had. And that's what we do. But people don't watch that video, they go, she's been found, and walk off. And they've always done that with newspapers.
Yeah, well, we know that very well.
Then now people go on Facebook and go, oh, she's been found. And then they share it. No one ever goes, what's the source? Now, I did say it on a video not long back, people are ready to believe things. When I was in the pub, there were a lad that were found to be filed with a P. No. And he, before anyone actually knew that he'd actually been caught, the word in the pub was that he was one, and that were it. And when you said to people, oh, how'd you know that? Oh, she told me. And they didn't actually know the source of information. So it could have just been an ex spreading the rumour. But people are ready to spread things like tabloid headlines without actually looking into it and reading the article and going, what is it? So
It's like what I've said many a time. We think as a human race that we've matured and we've got more... No, we're a step away from pitchforks and burning people at the stake. We are still there.
Oh, yeah.
I think if they brought back hanging and you could have it in the town centre, people would still go and watch it.
I'm going to bring one up here. Did you see the story about the lady that was arrested and tried and found guilty, a 5G campaigner, and she actually believed that 5G masks were spreading COVID?
Oh, yeah.
And her and her partner, or the person that she was with, had met on a chat room. They had supported each other's theories and then gone out and set fire to a 5G mast and wondered why they got nicked. Now, again,
guys,
step away.
Time out for a bit.
Time out
for a bit. It's the giveaway time. So I'll get the Wheel of Fortune up. Right. Are you going to tell everybody what they're going to win?
Right, this week. No, you're not winning, Harley, as much as you want to. This week, you have a chance to win the brand new flavour from Johnny's Juice, the raspberry sherbet. So new, we've not even let it past our lips.
Nope.
You will receive a 3 or 6 milligram, dependent on what you state in your email. If you win, you are going to send that email to homeserviceliveshow@gmail.com. You are also going to include the keyword, because if you don't include the keyword, you ain't getting tackled.
So shall I draw it?
Please do.
The Wheel of Fortune.
There we go. Me legs kicked off.
Terry Wilson, congratulations! Right, Terry Wilson, you need to do that. Tonight's keyword is X-Files. The winner needs to email their keyword, name and address and Nick's strength to the homeserviceliveshow@gmail.com. So congratulations, Terry! Woo!
I was thinking during your intro, it's a good job you guys aren't 3D.
So congratulations, Mr. Terry. Congrats. So get your email straight over to me straight away, as soon as physically possible, and then obviously I'll post that on to Project Vapes, and they'll get the bottle of juice out to you. So big congratulations. Want to give Project Vapes and Johnny's Juice a big shout and say thank you very much for the giveaway. Yay!
Bless you. Thank you, sir. Bless. Right. So where were we? We were now. Martin in chat raised a very interesting point here, and it covers what you said about dogs, etc. So Martin's a geneticist, and cross-species viruses are very rare, and cross-species virus is very rare as viruses affect the genetic chromosomes of a cell and need to drastically mutate to cross a special barrier. They do. Bacteria doesn't. But, it's an interesting one. But it's going to be the virus that probably kills you. Because if you look at sorry, mate.
As well as that, if you completely wipe bacteria out of it, you've still got to assume that they can survive on our planet with our temperatures and everything else. I mean, that again is something that they'd have to go home and redesign to be able to come back. They'd have to study Earth before they could live on it or step on it.
Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we can't, at the present moment in time, we've not found a Earth-like planet.
Exactly.
Well, for us.
That suitable. And it's another thing that always makes me chuckle. No matter what they say, they're always looking that if it's going to be a planet with alien life, it has to have water on it. That's where the scientific community are looking, and NASA and everything. It's got to have water. If it doesn't have water, it can't support life. Well, why not?
That's life in our definition.
Exactly. You can't imagine something that you hadn't already seen.
Exactly. That's always bugged me, that even from being a little kid. They're always looking for water. And if they can find water, then you've got life.
You have just reminded me of something that I was going to say earlier. We forget how old the planet is and how old life is. Not just human life, but life in a whole. The planet's a lot older than life.
Oh, God, yeah.
There might have been organisms and stuff, but actual living, breathing life that you can see. And then the organisms as well. So, when you're looking at all these planets, if you do find one that is capable of in life, it might only be 1,000 years old. You know?
Yeah, of course.
The moon, for example, it's got craters on it. It must have had water on it. It might have done 1 billion years ago. But my entire point is minutes. Our planet, life on Earth.
I think the analogy is, especially for the human species, if the Earth was a 24-hour clock, we arrived roughly about a second to midnight.
Yeah. And then they're saying it's going to end at some point. And you go, well, so if you look at all the other planets, you think the odds aren't only against have they got life, it's also, have they got life yet? And when will life start? When did it end? Yeah, I mean, if you're not just looking... The thing you're looking for is that specific. It's not only is it capable of doing, it's has it yet. So, yeah, I mean, it's not just... I'm struggling to find my words here, but I'm sure you know what I mean. It's
I mean, let's face it, they could be creatures or animals or whatever you want to call them that are literally mirroring us, but they could be so like in the Stone Age. So they would never know that we exist. And it's going to take them thousands and thousands of years to get to the stage that we are now.
I think the best analogy for what I'm trying to explain is if I said to you, tomorrow, at any point between midnight and midnight, I'm going to drive from Land's End to Gretna Green. And you said, oh, that's funny, I'm driving from Gretna Green to Land's End. Oh, interesting. And then all that way I keep my eye out for you. Now I'm going to pass hundreds of thousands of cars on that journey. The chances that you took the same route as me isn't all that good to start with. But then the chances that I'm going to notice you when I pass you, yeah, I mean, the odds are multi-layered. It's not just there's a planet, has it got life? No. It's,
Well, I mean,
as
when
it- as life-
when you keep on hearing about, especially on news and things like that, you keep on hearing about that. They've discovered another planet in another solar system. Has anybody realised that they didn't point a telescope at it and saw, oh look, there's another? No, it don't work that way. They use the Doppler effect. And basically, what the Doppler effect means is they look at the star and they watch the actual star, and if the light emitted from that star dips and then comes back on a regular basis, they know that there's a planet. Now, when they first started finding these X-planets, they were bigger than Jupiter because they couldn't see the difference. So when you get starting to planets that are size, it's even harder to see if there's a planet using the Doppler effect.
Well, I mean, the microwave telescopes now, which led to the famous comment from Brian Cox, I think it was on the last leg. And they were discussing the Big Bang Theory. And Brian Cox basically erupted and said, it's not a theory. How do you know it's not a theory? Well, you can see the bugger. And fair play, okay. But you're not seeing the Big Bang. You're seeing the background radiation.
Yeah.
You're seeing microwaves. It suggests it, doesn't prove it.
But again, this is what we were saying earlier about theories. And the thing that annoys me about anything, be it in today's politics or 2020's politics, you are told a certain narrative, and it's scientists say this. But whenever anyone ever says to you about anything, a scientist say this, just Google the alternative, because there will always be a scientist that disagrees and has his own theory. So therefore, you've got two opposing theories. And there's a good chance that one's just more accepted than the other, but neither have been disproven. So I mean, it is that of because
Oh yeah, I mean, and let's face it, a lot of these theories that come out as loosely based facts are because the majority of the council that read the papers said, yeah, we agree with that one. But you'll still get the peoples that are blackballing it and saying, no, it's wrong.
See, I'm going to bring carrots into this conversation. And there's a reason for this. School kids are taught carrots are orange. Yes?
The purple.
Carrots were originally purple. They were bread.
They weren't.
So-
They've always been carrots. They've never been bread.
Yeah, shut up. but which one's correct? Because you ask any kid, and they're going to say carrot's orange. You show them a purple carrot. This is a carrot. No, it's not. It's just to prove. Once we start programming each other with certain things, that's what becomes your reality.
Well, that's
And
what I
we
mean.
are
I was saying about
manipulated.
when we are taught. The problem is that we are taught that that's a fact, and it's not. I mean, when we were growing up, how many planets were there?
Not as many as there is now.
We lost
well, no,
one.
there was more.
We lost one.
We did. Pluto, yeah. But, was it Pluto or Neptune?
No, Pluto,
It was Pluto.
because it's slightly smaller than our moon.
Now, one theory I did read about the moon that had me absolutely fascinated. It's too good to be true. The moon, right, the theory is the moon is created from debris by an early pseudo-Earth being hit by another planet. Yeah? And it just happened to throw it into a perfect circular orbit, just far enough away from the planet to affect.
Well, it's
It's
actually
an
moving
odd
away.
enough,
It's
but not
moving
odd
away about 2 centimeters each year.
Yeah, but that's been happening for billions.
Yeah, I know,
of
but
years.
it is moving away. Eventually, we won't have solar eclipses like we have now.
So in theory, we shouldn't have flooding with the tides.
Oh, it'll alter it, yes. But I mean,
Yeah, but-
you're talking over millennia.
Yeah, but that's a bigger disaster than global warming.
and about the same timescale.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, when you start talking about global warming, I appreciate what they're saying, but I think it's a religion. I think it is a new religion, global warming.
If my dad's watching, he'll be gritting his teeth. But I do believe in it.
I don't. Oh no! I'm not saying that the Earth isn't warming up. Obviously, it is warming
this is
up.
what I was going to say. I do believe in it. I do believe in it. I just don't believe I'm causing it.
Yeah.
I believe that humans are killing the Earth. I generally do. I look at us and go, we're the only species other than rats that are growing, and that fucking tells me something.
There's a lot of rats.
I think the Earth has a problem, but I don't think.
There you go. Solve world hunger. Eat rats.
But I don't. Like, as you were about to say, I don't think we're actively causing that much of a tremor in that timescale. Scientists have already proven that there is a timescale on this, and it is a greater seasonal change. And that's my theory on it.
Yeah, but you've also got to remember, like we were saying about how long we've been on the Earth as Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens. Yeah, how long we've actually been on the Earth? How long that we've been pumping carbon into the actual atmosphere? And they keep saying this has been the hottest ever temperature raised in Death Valley. What was it, 57 degrees? They don't call it Death Valley for fuck all, do they?
They've also, by the way, started changing how they measure the temperature. Not only do they do dodgy tricks like last year, the hottest ever record temperature in the UK was actually on a fucking airstrip with active planes flying off it. But now, this year, they've apparently stopped taking air temperature and started taking like ground temperature. I didn't read it because, like I said, it all just goes on me because I go, you're all talking bollocks, I don't care. But they have changed the way they measure the temperature. So that is something worth looking into. I haven't looked into it, so don't take it as fact. Please do go and look into how they've changed that they measure temperature.
I mean, someone, who was it? I forget. I was watching a programme about a month ago, and this guy, he was brilliant. He turned around and said, if the United Kingdom went carbon neutral tomorrow, it would be like me pissing in the sea and you tasting it. You wouldn't. You wouldn't even know that it had happened.
Well, this goes back on to what I was saying before. It's something to distract you with, something to scare you with. And now you can have Richard Sunak saying, well, I need a jet so I can get more places. Well, why can't you video link like fucking prisoners do, you prick? But then you've got China, that's the same as London were back in the day with the smog, and like Sheffield were with the smog.
Yeah.
George Orwell wrote about Sheffield smog. There is no smog in Sheffield now. I know I went last week. And I grew up there without the smog, by the way. But that's all in China now. But it's us that need to stop what we're doing. China's not going to because they're making everything for us. But because they're making everything for us, we need to turn the lights off. Well, I'm right, sorry, but my light's not going to... Sorry, no. And I do get it.
Well, let's face it, China are producing, 7 more coal-powered fire stations? Just so they can make our wind farms. Hey!
See, I know we've gone off topic, but this is a real sticking point because solar panels are really bad for the Earth. All the materials they use are bad for the Earth. Wind turbines and all the oil that they use is really bad for the Earth, and all the materials they use. All this renewable shit is actually bad for the Earth. The making of the energy is clean. The making of the machinery that makes the energy is not clean. And I've just lost what I was going to say again. Shit. It was a really good point too, I promise. Just imagine I said something great and we'll...
That was brilliant. Honestly, that was brilliant.
Well, electric cars, same issue.
The batteries.
The batteries. You've got people digging out dirty great mines by hand to get the lithium for the batteries. The only reason I can see that electric cars are being pushed isn't for the carbon neutral, but to reduce the amount of vehicles on the road.
Do you know the government last year published a document that my missus showed me? And she showed me a screenshot. And like I said, I'm a critical thinker. I didn't look at the screenshot. I went straight online and found the document on the .gov website. And I'm fairly sure I published this document on Facebook. Because that's the only time I publish on... The reason I publish on Facebook is so at a later date I can come back and go, told you so. But I found this document, and there's targets within this document. How many clothes you will buy a week is a target in this document. How many? It's currently something like 240 per person or something bizarre like that. The realistic expectation for in 10 years' time is like 30. The ideal expectation is 1. How many cars on the road per 100,000 people? This many. The ideal goal is 0. And then you go, right, so the ideal goal is 0. How is that feasible? And again, it's just the conspiracies. Pardon me. But if you look at what the conspiracies say about the Great Reset, then you look at the things you're being pushed. And then even down to just stop oil. You go, well, the protecting the planet. That's what I'm going to say. Remind me about vegans in a second. The protecting the planet. Oh, fair enough. But then you go, they're actually causing a right nuisance. Let's stop them from protesting, which will actually stop us from protesting as well. You know what I mean? It's all, in a conspiracical eye, it's all very well put together, or one massive, massive coincidence. And what I was going to say about vegans is I watched a documentary not long ago about soil. Now, we got in bed, my missus went to sleep, and she thought I was very sad for watching this documentary about soil. I think it was on Netflix. Now, we are taught by us vegans, no disrespect to vegans, by the way, do it for whatever reason you want. I know there's different reasons. But vegans have always said to me, it's bad. Well, the government's always said to me, it's bad because cows fart, and that's really bad for global warming. So we need to plant more greenery. And there is countries, by the way, that lower their carbon emissions by planting greenery down side of the roads and up and round the bridges. And that does neutralise the cities, because obviously trees neutralise fucking shit we breathe out. It's how life works. But this documentary basically said the reason farming is bad for the earth is because we use pesticides and we use cattle on the same bit of land, and that kills the soil. Once you start using pesticides and fertilizers on soil, that soil then becomes dependent of it. It kills it. So you can't use it for 3 years, then stop using it. Your crops won't grow. You have to constantly use it. But there's actually microorganisms living in that soil that produce oxygen and things like that. That soil is needed. It's alive. The soil itself is alive. Obviously, I'm not saying soil is alive, but the things within it are alive. But these farmers that are producing all this stuff are using Bill Gates pesticides and fertilizers that render this soil useless. And it'll take about 5 years for this soil to be rejuvenated or whatever. So it's not the fact that eating cattle is bad, because eating vegetables can be just as bad. It's the way that farming's done. And on this documentary, it showed you someone farming, I think it was cattle, cows and stuff. And what they've done is they've set the field out in a grid. It's a fairly big field, fair enough, but they've set it out in a grid. So they penned them in one square. And there were loads of posts making this grid. The next day they came, undid the posts, and moved them into the next grid. And every day they moved them to a different grid. Therefore, by the time they'd got to the end, the soil and the grass and shit on the first grid were nice and healthy again, ready to go again. And they started the trail again. And this documentary was all about, look, you're all focused on your animals and your crops and shit, but it's the soil beneath us that is just as vital.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not like consuming more veg, but if you're using this stuff to grow veg faster and to kill all the little bugs and stuff, what you're actually doing is killing the soil. And that releases a shitload of carbon dioxide and whatever else. You know what I mean? It's that sort of stuff that you're never told, you're never educated about. But as somebody that doesn't watch that sort of information, you go, yeah, I'm going to be a vegan because it's great. And then not look where it's coming from, because that has to be renewably sourced as much as the meat and everything else. Do you get what I mean? I can see BFG taking it in, and it's as if he's going to say something back. He's got an objection.
No. I'm a big believer in the idea that there's a bio network.
Oh, me too. And this is what I mean by we're ruining the planet. As far as I'm concerned, we're equally balanced. And the bigger we grow as a population, although Elon Musk argues against people like Bill Gates, and says we're not populated enough, I do personally think that we need to keep a balance somewhere. And I'm not saying stop people having children.
I'm kind of like Mr. Smith in The Matrix.
That's very vain, sir.
I really am. No, the reason why I say that is We are the only species that acts like bacteria. Animal species that act like bacteria. What we do...
Well, we act like a virus, not bacteria.
A virus, I do apologise. And what we basically do is we ravish, pillage, and take all the resources and then just move. And that's all we ever do. The population of this planet is getting ridiculous. It's getting to the point where it's unsustainable.
And it's a snowball effect. The bigger it gets, the faster it grows.
Well,
I'm being someone that don't believe in global warming, man-made. I do like David Attenborough, and I did watch something that he did on Netflix. So it might have been BBC. I'm sure it was Netflix, and that were really good to watch. It were telling me that I would kill the planet, but if you forgot about that subtle hint,
You know, I used to love David Attenborough. I've got the original Life on Planet on DVD and all that lot. Do you know what I don't like anymore? I'm being told off every time.
Yeah, well, this documentary went through the years, and as it did, it told you of the population of the planet, and it does snowball drastically. But there's two takeaways I got from that. One, the human race will find I've lost a word. It will find a pivot point. It will stagnate, because if you look at economies like the UK, we used to our grandparents had 6 siblings and whatnot. These days, people have got 1 or 2. Some people don't even have children. The families are getting smaller because we're happy, we've got enough money. However, if you live somewhere like India, which is a developing country, you're more likely to have more kids so they can go out and earn. And that is just a fact of how economies work. And when people inside it get happy, they have less children, they buy nicer things, yada yada. The other thing, so that's the thing on the population side. The other thing that I took away from this, and it was right at the end, and I really liked it because he did this speech, and at the very end of the speech he said, the problem is, when all this happens, it's us that die. The Earth will reproduce again. The Earth will start again. And I smiled and went, yeah, exactly, because it's not me causing the problem. It might be the people in general, as we're consuming everything, but it's not the Earth that I'm fucking up. It's the human race I'm fucking up, by the way. The Earth will survive.
There's this really good documentary on YouTube, and I think it's one of them What Ifs. Can you remember the What If series that came out quite a few years ago? And the one and it really did stick in my mind. And it basically was, midnight tonight, there are no more human beings. What would happen to the world? And honestly, it is absolutely brilliant. It goes all the way up to 1,000 years into the future without humans. And basically, nature takes over. The one only remaining thing that you would know by this 1,000 years, the only thing that we would know that humans had been on it is the plastics and Mount Rushmore. That's it.
Mount Rushmore?
Yeah. You know the one with the president's faces?
Oh, yeah.
Everything else, literally everything that we've ever created, every building, every monument, gone.
Sorry. Yeah.
see, Great Wall of China would still be there.
No, it'd gone.
I mean, if you look at Chernobyl, that's a cracking example, and I love watching. They're reopening it for tourism now, but if you watch the pictures and the videos from when people first started going in, that is an incredible place. But if you look at any abandoned building, every Sunday night we watch 2 lads from South Yorkshire. They're called the Finders Bleepers.
Yep.
And they do urbexing. I'd love to go out with him. Not on a date. I didn't mean that, you fuckers. But these buildings, not more often than not, they're not. But they do go in them where the walls are about to fall off. And it is all that the damp's got in, the human element has been taken out, Mother Nature is claiming it back through damp and through weathering, and it all returns back to the Earth.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what we've said. This is what the entire planet does. It all returns back to the Earth. Even plastic, but because plastic's made in a way that it doesn't, it just takes a hell of a lot longer to degrade.
Yeah, it just gets smaller and smaller. But I mean, I watch things like Abandoned Engineering and things like that. That's absolutely fascinating, them programs. But yeah, I mean, nature will just take over.
On the thing of global warming, I always like to talk to people that catastrophize by asking them questions like, how do we get our oxygen from the Amazon? And they go, it comes out of the trees, idiot. But it doesn't actually. And I don't know if you guys know this. I found this mind-blowing. It were a Will Smith documentary on Netflix. Probably, again, it were kind of global warming pushing, but it were more about, look how everything's intertwined on Earth. And astronauts from outer space were saying, when you look down on Earth, there's one place that is always covered in cloud, and that's the Amazon rainforest. The reason that is the humidity causes all the trees to sweat, that evaporates, and creates pretty much a sky river. That's what these clouds are. These clouds run over to the mountains. They don't run, they ain't got legs. These clouds hit the mountains, the condensation runs down the mountain into the sea. All the minerals then get eaten by microorganisms in the sea, which they then release oxygen. And that's how the Amazon rainforest produces us oxygen. Because all the oxygen that's produced in the Amazon is used by the Amazon, apparently. So that's the way that we get oxygen from the Amazon. But people don't know this. So I love it when people go to me at rants about global warming and stuff, because they don't understand elements like that.
I always find the fascinating thing about the Amazon is that most of the soil that's in the Amazon is actually from the Sahara.
Oh, yeah, from the winds and stuff.
I find that fascinating, that.
I wish I could remember the name of that documentary that Will Smith narrated. Because it was like a six-parter, and it was very much David Attenborough. But it had elements of astronauts' experience on it as well, people that had been to ISS. They were interviewed for it, and it was an incredible eye-opener. Like I said, it weren't very down-your-throat global warming. It was a lot more of, this is how the entire Earth's connected. And things that happen on the other side of the Earth affect the other side of the Earth. And it was really mind-blowing.
I mean, we're seeing that. I mean, let's face it, we're seeing that now. It's happening this year. We're in an El Nino. I hope I'm going to say that correctly. And that is one of the reasons why the airflow is slightly altered this year. And that's why we're having all the wet weather and Europe's had all the hot with the jet stream. The jet stream normally is a bit stronger and it goes more over Scotland that way and brings up the hot air from Africa. But it's been low down. It's been roughly round about where Spain is, the jet stream. And that's brought all the hot air up to obviously Greece, Turkey, etc. And that's why they've got that. We're getting the top end of the jet stream, which brings in colder air and low temperatures, and that's what's bringing us the rain.
See, again, that's interesting. I was reading at the beginning of this year, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've always recently got fear-mongering about the weather. It tells you it's going to be extremely hot in 3 months' time, and it never happens. It tells you it's going to be extremely snowy in 3 months' time, and it never happens. And during about March, when we were talking, the news were pushing Beast from the East, a Met Office article popped up about how the Beast from the East happened. And I thought, let's have a look. And again, absolutely nothing to do with global warming like you were told it were. And that's basically winds. I think it's for polar vortex, unless I'm getting that from something else. But there's a wind circle around the Arctic. And certain things, every now and again, cause that to wobble. And as that circular wind wobbles, it chucks out wind in different directions because it's wobbling. Wind doesn't go like that, so it chucks out bits. And that's when we get extreme Beast from the East type weather, because this wobble effects happened. Like I said, I can't remember what caused it. It might be it's a bit colder, or a bit warmer, or it might be wind.
Going towards wobbles, right? The Earth goes round the sun, as we all know, in a lovely little orbit, pretty steady orbit. What a lot of people don't realise is that the Earth, even though it spins round and round, actually wobbles as well on its own axis. So instead of it just going round and round and round, it actually wobbles. And that alters the actual amount of sunlight we actually get per millennium.
Right. Well, did you know? I can't. The fact I was going to tell you earlier, but I can't remember it. So I'm just going to around the boat it. But the days of the year, the time of a day isn't always the same. I can't remember it, so I'm going to skip that one. The other one was, have you heard of the theory at the minute? And again, I think it's just social media pushing fear-mongering. But apparently, there is a thing that they've found that they can't explain. And the best explanation they've got of it is every million years, every 500,000 years, something like that, the Earth rotates on its axis. Complete flip.
Oh, no, you're on
The poles flip over.
the magnetic poles change.
Have you heard of theory? Because we reckon that's about now, and I go, fear-mongering bollocks, fuck off.
No.
So I don't look at that much.
That's true.
But I go, see, the people that are talking about it, I go, I trust you, that you've done your research.
It's
But I
also,
still-
it's like the sun. The sun has
We're
is
actually
it
a
a
couple of
9...
millennia overdue.
Yeah, it's like the sun. The sun does it. The sun
If I
does
flip
it
upside down in a
regularly.
bit,
I think
I
it's
apologise.
every so many millions of years, but it does have. The sun has a cycle as well. The sun also. You've heard of sunspots. They have a 9-year cycle, which they increase and decrease, depending on how many sunspots there are. Depends on how many mass ejections there are. Now, what we're talking here now is space weather. And nobody ever mentions space weather on Look North or the BBC. But space weather has a big effect on our planet. Really big. Did you notice right at the beginning of the year, we was getting lots of Aurora Borealis this year? Loads of them. You could see them in England. Down in Yorkshire, you could see them in York Minster with wonderful auroras of green. The reason for that is because we've been having a lot of mass ejections from the sun.
Mass erections from the sun.
Yeah, mass erections.
Big ones.
Big ones. But nobody talks about that. Nobody mentions about that at all.
No, it's global warming. It's global warming.
Right. We're actually over time, dudes.
We are.
Yeah, you have to conclude your subject. Where are we on aliens?
Yeah, what the bloody hell's the Amazon rainforest got to do with aliens?
Well, to be fair, we're only in the last 10 minutes plus the extra 10 minutes that we went off topic. I think we did quite well to stick on topic for an hour and a half.
We've covered solar panels, lithium mines, electric cars.
And mass erections.
The first hour we was on topic, and I think we did really well. Because you can't talk about aliens without talking about other paranormal stuff.
Conspiracies. You even managed to get the bloody Rothschilds in there.
Right then, so
Amazon's
are we
delivered
wrapping
it.
this one up?
Yes, I think we should before we degenerate into a hate of Sir David. He's a national treasure. And to get the polar vortex, mate, I'd be more worried about the ocean current, which has a
Thinking
massive
of that.
effect.
What about the ocean sultanas?
No.
You see, even that, even the ocean levels, the fact that the ocean might be rising isn't the biggest concern. The fact that the ocean might be rising has little to do with the fact that the ice caps will melt, then all the fish would be displaced from their homes because of fresh water that's now in the water. See, the things that you portrayed are complete bollocks. The science might be there, but not in the way that they explain it.
No, I'm talking about the ocean currents that affect the wind generation, etc.
Yeah, but
Which
that's
are weakening.
Is it
But
the concern is
Desalination of the
desalutation?
Desalination.
Yeah. I knew I was close. I've got a missing tooth, so there was too many S's in that.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but
No,
yeah, that is a big concern because they are worried that if that happens, then obviously because where we live here in the UK, we shouldn't get the weather that we do get. You move us over to Canada, we would be in thick of snow and everything. The reason why we have such mild temperatures in this country, even though we do get bad snows and things like that, because we get a reasonably mild temperature in this country, is because of the Gulf Stream. Now, what they are saying is, because of the mixing of natural water and salt water, that will alter the Gulf Stream flow. If that alters, then we will end up having, well, not just the UK, but most of Europe will end up having weather more like Canada.
There we are.
I don't like it as to what anyway.
And on that note, on the cheerful note that we've given you all, we're all doomed.
The aliens are going to probe us.
Yes.
I'm doomed. I've got my bunker. I'm sound, thank you. Speak for yourself.
Ollie, say your goodbye, sir.
Do you know, the only time I get it, since I stopped doing the vape channel, the only time I get invited onto shows is to figure, yeah, he's a conspiracist, not he'll talk for ages. And I don't let down, ever. I actually came onto this show going, this is going to be a shit show, because I ain't got what to say. And look at me. Huh? Just imagine what it's like when I have got something to say. It's been wonderful, all in chat. If any of my lot here, and I do have to apologise to chat, because I did keep looking at it, but I was too involved in what I was saying to actually read any of the chats. So I do apologise. I think we've all left you out of it tonight. And I apologise.
Yeah.
It's been good chat. But if there is any of my lot here, and I ain't said hello, I do apologise. But it is nice to see all the usuals. I have missed you all. Mr. Bill Richards, Mr. Mark H, but didn't say Harley, but I thought you did, so I'm still counting it. It's been lovely, and Mr. SoulOhm. You know I always like to see your beautiful face. BFG, you're wonderful too.
Thank you. Hashtag afterthought.
It is a pleasure to see you all, as always. Thank you for having me on. I'll see you next year.
Same time, same back channel.
Right, well, chat, thank you for joining us. You didn't have to, you did. We did start off with aliens. It just went a little wobbly, and it wasn't
Don't our show always do that?
Oh, yes. And as Martin's just said, it's the tangents that lead to an interesting conversation. Chat, I'm really sorry we didn't pick up more out of it, because there was some really interesting chunter in there. There was a lot of banter between each other as well. I missed it, because it's normally pretty good. Oh, there we are. There was quite a discussion regarding the supernatural, which we missed. So we may have to touch on that.
I think we ought to touch on that next week.
I think we should. So there you are, guys. Who says we don't listen? By the way, still stands. If you have anything you would like us to talk about, put it within the Facebook group. We know a lot of you are members. Join, talk, chat, abuse each other with memes. Everybody does it to us. Why shouldn't you buggers get a turn? So on that note, join us next week for an undecided topic.
Undecided.
We have decided it's on Thursday and it's at 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
We are sponsored by Johnny's Juice and Project Vapes. And we say a huge thank you for the giveaway this evening of the Raspberry Sherbet. Congratulations.
Terry,
Yeah. Make sure you email us. Quicker you email, quicker you'll get it. And I will hand you over to the gaffer.
Harley, BFG, thank you for a fantastic show. I've really, really enjoyed it. I think we could, all three of us, carry on talking about conspiracy theories and all sorts for much lot longer, but we have lives. What I will say is a great philosopher that I know, my little bro, and one of his sayings was, "We're all doomed with a Jasper prune." And he will know exactly what I'm talking about. I want to give Johnny's Juice and Project Vapes a big shout out. Thank you so much for the giveaway. Congratulations, Terry, for winning. Like BFG did say, get the email straight over. Don't forget the keyword. The keyword is you know what it is because it was in the show. Yay! If you'd like to enter the competition next week, we pin a post on a Wednesday in the Facebook group. If it's not in our Facebook group, you will also see it in Johnny's Juice's Facebook group as well. But we put it in our group as well. So just put it in there. That'll be fine. Nice and easy. Simple. Right. CC Coils. If you would like 25% discount, just type in home service at the end of the checkout. Way! So, from myself, Harley, BFG, we wish you a wonderful weekend and a fantastic week, and we'll see you all back here 7:30 on Thursday. So, from all of us, bye!
Ouch. Sorry, come Bro. This is scary stuff. Bye! Indeed. We need somebody to cheer us up. Cladding's knackered. Good months ago. The Chinese are going to get us. I think Harley's frozen. No, he blinked. E.T. bone phone.
And we're